Welcome, welcome. Sorry for the slight delay. The pasuk says, "V'zartem es bnei Yisrael m'tumoisam," and the Gemara in Shavuos says that from Dal learnt men sheyifreshu min sheseim samach leveston. Shaz is just asmachta. The achra is the shach. That it's the rabbanon. Chanukah is the rabbanon. Purim is the rabbanon. Altzvos Mertun is the rabbanon, and this is the chumrah of the dinim cycles, whether it's the haflaga that's going, whether it's the day of the month that's going, the amount of days, and that just teaches us a little bit about the chumrah, and hence also the brachas that come from following being medayik and the tayarkeit of, as the Rebbe says in Ayoyim Yoyim on Yud Nissen, that imagine an entire city. If you have the schus to save an entire city, Mikiloya and Rahman al-Itzlan, what would a person not do? He would thank the Eibishter for the schus. That's what the Rebbe is comparing it to, being medayik, being ma'oirer, others and ourselves, and being mahader in all the schus to have with us Rabbi Sharon Weiss, the leader of Living Chassidus Institute, together with his Rebbetzin, as well as a trained Chosson teacher, together with us from the beginning in Machon Taharas Habayis. Without further ado, Rabbi Sharon, I just do want to add another Yisher Koyach for Shraga Krumby of L'man Yilmadu that allows us to use the slides today. So please enjoy.
Thank you. Okay, hello everybody. Thank you very much. Everyone can hear me well? Yeah. Mike Iyar. It's good? Okay. Thank you very much for everyone coming. Thank you for organizing and inviting me to come. Just a few quick things I wanted to say before we start. So there's a story about Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, that someone came to him about a younger man. And he said, this younger man is a very edel, very Yer Shamayim. It's a nose. Meaning what we see on the outside is left off what's happening. And as I think everyone here is married, we know what's in the home is very private between husband and wife. So that's what he was saying. That's who really knows what's going on. But I think you can say the fact that you guys came here today and your wives, helped you come here. I'm sure this is bedtime. I had bedtime that I got to leave. So it shows that you really care. So it's very amazing. One more ha'ara, a neighbor of mine, he saw that I'm coming to speak. So he came to me, he goes, I need to tell you something. You need to tell the Chevron. So this is interesting. He said to me, he goes, tell them that when I got married, I learned all the halachas, but I was like, Vestos is so important. Halachic, the important things I won't do. But other things, whatever. And he goes, tell them a guy divorced for 29 years, he says it's important. So, if you needed any more proof than that, yeah. Okay, so let's begin. There's a lot. I don't know how much time we have, but we'll go. We'll go where we get, and it'll be good. So, we're going to discuss the Vestos. I'm not sure how the order is set up, but I guess maybe it's more an order of practicality. So essentially, the Vestos is the chashash that we have that there might be a possibility of your wife or the woman becoming nida, and so therefore the Chachamim made that we should separate, husband and wife should separate from intimacy. Just an important ha'ara. It's not a husband separating from his wife. It's a husband and wife separating from intimacy. It's a very big chiluk, because if you're saying a husband separating from his wife, so then this whole experience is very separating. Whereas the whole vart is not that a husband separates from his wife or his wife separates from the husband. It's they separate themselves from intimacy. It doesn't mean they can't talk and hang out and do all these other good things and learn. It just means the intimate part of their marriage has to be separate. And so therefore, the Chacham made these. They had the Chosson. There's three general ones of that it might be that she might get a period, and therefore, if they're in the middle of Tashmish, and the Chas v'Shalom get a period, it's a big Isser. So they have to remember, which I don't know what everyone's holding, so we'll teach it as if we're learning this. So you have 2 Einis in a day, in 24-hour day. You have the day, of course, begins by night. It's all halachic Torah, so it begins by night. And then there's the day Eina, which is the day. I think, you see pretty clear. Okay, the first Eina we're going to discuss is Eina Beinus. So Eina Beinus is essentially, the Chacham said, what's an average cycle? So therefore, it's 30 days. So therefore, we'll calculate 30 days from when the period came, and then we'll make that day a chash, and therefore therefore the husband and wife have to separate. Now, for the Eina Beinus, also these halachas are very technical, very mathematical. So if you like maths, which is Beinus from like between, meaning average, an average 30-day cycle. So for that period, it's 24 hours. The other Einos is only 12 hours for the actual Eina that it landed on, period came on. Yeah, and of course, we understand from now on, it's pretty clear, but we start from night. So like now, people are going to daven Marv, so the halachic day we're talking about is 24 hours starting from the nighttime. So in Eina Beinus, if she had a period here, in this example, on Rosh Hashanah, on Aleph, so then 30 days would be Lamed. Now, if anyone has a calendar besides the online calendar, most of the calendars are set up, especially the calendar from mikveh.org, it's a very simple way of calculating. And you'll see in the slides. But essentially, so the Eina Beinus we're learning is the first one, it's 30 days. So in this example, if she got a period on Rosh Hashanah, on the 1st of Tishrei, so then 30 days later, on Lamed, would be the Eina Beinus, and night and day. Another example, if it was Hanukkah, it was the 8th day of Hanukkah, so it was Tevis on base. So therefore, 30 days later is Beis Shvat. Very simple. You just count 30 days. You could manually count, but there's a little trick they all do. It doesn't have in here. So, which is essentially, you count 4 weeks and 1 day. 30 days is always 4 weeks and 1 day. So in this example, you have a base Tevis. So you go 1 week, 9th of Tevis, 2 weeks, 16th of Tevis, 3 weeks, Chav Gimel, 4 weeks, Shvat, 1 day, Beis Shvat. And most of the calendars are always set up this way. So it's a very simple way to calculate it. You don't have to calculate and make mistakes. 4 weeks and 1 day. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You can see in the slide before. Again, 4 weeks, Rosh Hashanah. So Ches, Tes Vav, Chav Beis, Chav Tes, that's 4 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1 more day. And then you get to the calculation. So you don't need to be an Ibra Chacham. And that's essentially the Eina Beinus. It's pretty. Say again? If you count it, I don't want to spend the time not counting it, but if you count it up, you'll see.
4 weeks, 1 day is 29.
Yeah, the first day, 1, 2, 3. Here, we'll go through it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. I wasn't like a kid playing the tricks, I just counted. And that's how it works. But the calendar set up to make it easy, that will be 4 weeks and 1 day across. You have to get, sometimes it might be on a different side. It might come on, let's say, the Chav Ches, so then the next one will be Chav Tes. Yeah. But it's pretty straightforward. 4 weeks and 1 day. And that's the Eina Beinus. And the Eina Beinus that you see here, it means the full 24 hours. There's no Tashmish. Also, if you see here, all these, there are the different types of Einos, and in the calendar, actual physical calendar, which is Stam L'Hayr. I started using the physical calendar. Everyone has this, or most people have this online calendar. You just put it in, and nothing It just goes, and you don't have to think about it. But you miss a few things. First of all, you forget how the whole system works. And also, if you don't have the calendar on you, you're stuck. So the college teachers tell the college they have to actually print it out. And also, I look at it as when you do it, you do a mitzvah. You're sitting there, spending the time, and it's a big mitzvah. You get a mitzvah, It's so cool that I'm sitting there calculating these things for 5-10 minutes. Besides, I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing. I'm doing a mitzvah right now. Instead of putting the calendar on, and putting it online, and it does it for me. So that's the innovatorness. And we'll discuss. There's another thing that it's get carried over, which doesn't happen by the innovatorness, and we'll discuss that when it comes later.
It starts by day, it starts by
Yeah, so the innovatorness is different. It doesn't matter when it starts, that whole day. So, in this case of base Tavis, it's base, in this example, will be base Shvat, and that's 30 days, the whole day, whenever it came. And also, she has to do a bedikah. The other thing is she has to do a bedikah. Different than the other, Aflaga and Achedesh, but she does the bedikah before, like the end of the day. And they can't have tashmish, you can't have tashmish until she did the bedikah. So let's say she forgot, or her husband wasn't there, whatever it was. 3 weeks later, she wasn't done the bedikah, they still can't be together until she does the bedikah. Which is not the same as the other ones, as we'll see. So the next one is Vestos Achedesh. So it's in a certain sense much simpler. It's just, the chashash is maybe the day of the month is what causes the period to come back. So we see in this case, it would be, let's say, base. So then the next month on base, that's when it is. Nothing to calculate, you just have to look at the date. And that's why if you see here in this calendar, the Vestos Achedesh, which is the circle, the small circle, is put in. So in this example, you have the inner baininess, the whole thing is in yellow because it's the whole 24 hours you have to separate. And it's very mathematical, so I don't want to lose everyone. But in this month of Tavis, it's 21 days. If Tavis was 30 days, so then the inner baininess would be on Aleph, but the Vestos Achedesh would be on base. You got that? It's good.
Vestos is not the day of the week, it's the day of the month.
Yeah, exactly. So in this case, it was base, so be base. If it was Gimel, Dal. The only exception is what happens if it's, in this case of Hanukkah, we're going to come to it, it's the 30th, and the next month is 29 days. So what do? Do you keep, there's no 30 day the next month. So what do? Do you keep the 29? Do you keep 1? You don't keep anything? You get what I'm saying? So what would you think to do? What, by birthday? I didn't get the connection. Yes, if it's Chosson, but what do you do? So you don't do anything. I think I heard there's like very few Rabbanim say you should carry it over to the next month. So if you had it, it fell on 30. And then the next month it was only 29 days. So you didn't do anything. The month after that, on the 30th, you'd keep it. But most Rabbanim don't hold that way. Maybe it will bring the onset of the period the next month as well. So that's the chashash. Maybe it's the date. Of course, it's the Hebrew date. It's not the English date. By Vestos Achedesh, separation only applies to the oino, whether it's a night or day, in which the period began last month. So that's why you have to mark down when it actually happened and the time, which oino, which time. So let's say, we'll see in the calendar. It'll come up. Marking on the calendar on the oino which flow began. So here, in this example, the flow began on the 3rd of Tishrei, during the day oino. You see, it's Shem Gedalia, on the day. So they keep Vestos on 3rd of Cheshvan by day. It happened on the 3rd of Cheshvan, Tishrei, so the 3rd of Cheshvan, but by day. Because the period started by day. See, and that's what it says here. In the 30-day month, Vestos Achedesh will be the day after the Oino, Beinus. So if you see an example, we'll keep to the Vestos Chodesh. So the Vestos Chodesh is the same date. So it's Gimel Tishrei, so it's Gimel Cheshvan. The period came in the daytime, so the Oina is just for the daytime. From sunrise to Shkia. So the daytime they have to separate. And also, she should do the B'dika just after the period came. So in here, it was on Tzem Gedalia, let's say it was at 12 o'clock in the day. So then, just after 12, as possible, as much as she can possible, closer, like just after, to do the B'dika. Now, if Chas v'Shalom, she didn't manage or whatever, she forgot, it's not ma'akev. Unlike the Oino Beininus, it is. No, yes, the Oino Beininus is different. So, because we're going to learn there's Vestos Chodesh and Vestos Haflaga. They're sort of in one category, and they work similar. And before Shkia, of course, but like the end of the day.
And if it was forgotten, then it still has to be.
Yeah, you have to do it, exactly. Very good. Where?
Forgotten completely or forgot to do it right time?
By the Oina, by the Vestos Chodesh, you have to do it. You're meant to do it before Shkia, the end of the day, and but it has to be done. If you didn't do it, it's not like, oh, I didn't do it. She's like, I'm still good. Yeah, what did I say? Okay, good, I'm testing. Very good, everyone's listening.
So if it happens by night, so then next month will be 36 hours in a row.
Very good. Yeah, so he's saying, many saying that if it was by the night, like Gimel Tzem Gedalia by night, so then you'd have the Vestos. Yeah, the Beininus would be base, and the Vestos Chodesh would be straight after, so it would be 36 hours.
So in this case, when it's not together, there's a hefsek.
Yeah, exactly. So in this
What
case,
in order is there still a halachic, or what can you do to?
in that between time,
Yeah,
at the night of Gimel, husband and wife are permissible to be together. No issue. There's nothing. It's all clean.
Well, I'm saying, I guess it has to be a bdika.
The b'dika would be before Shkia on base,
Right. Before.
and as long as that b'dika is clean,
Then
then they can resume tashmish, and then but the next day they go back to. Now, in general, these things they're not like made up numbers. I'm saying there's a svara, so normally the period will come around that time. So it's not like, oh, I get this and doesn't go and does go. It's, yeah, what I'm saying.
So in those oinas that the B'dika is required during the oina, like the Chodesh or the Haflaga,
Yeah,
with no B'dika done, then you say you don't need to do a B'dika afterwards?
it's not ma'akev. Yeah,
What is, what?
I don't have time to go on the whole halachic. Yeah, you have to do it before you can be together. Officially, she should like say, I did the b'dika, I was all clean. You can't, meaning you can't assume. Because by the Vestos Chodesh, like, it doesn't matter, so you just, it's fine, whatever. I'm saying as long as she's nothing happened, she didn't doubt, because the b'dika it's very serious. So if she doesn't do b'dika, it's nothing happens.
And then she's not meant to do a B'dika afterwards? If she doesn't need to?
If she already missed the time, meaning it's after Shkia already, I don't remember exactly, but I don't think she should. I'm saying she can, she's going to but like, if she's already going there, so she should do it before, like, right, remember, I meant to do it after, like close to when it happened after, and hopefully at some time, in that period of time. Anyone remember? Yeah, the Beini is always by the Shkia. So Beini is different. It's always by Shkia, and it's always the 24 hours. Whereas the Chodesh is only the Oina, and the B'dika is just after it happened.
So if they're the same day, then you have to do two b'dikas?
Yeah, l'chera.
Is there any way to just get away with one?
To get away with one.
So like especially if
Meaning, think about it the other way. You get to do two mitzvahs now.
well, what does it
Now, of course, if it's a problem, let's say it's difficult for her, Because there's also svara to say that after, by the oinam beinus, like if it's uncomfortable for himself, he doesn't have to do it. It's a chumrah. You can do it.
What does it even mean to do two? Like when they pick the two?
I mean, you're doing one, because there's two things happening. You're doing one because it's the Vestos Chodesh. So you're doing it at the time of Vestos Chodesh. And then you're doing another one because they fall on the same day as the oinam beinus. So you're doing for the oinam beinus, which happens before Shkia.
Is like a cutoff time.
It's meant to be before. You're meant to do it in the end of the day. Because we're saying it could happen this day. So the Kabbalah base, you do it at the end of the day.
What's the reason by the rest of the do after the time?
Because if you do it before the time,
Wrong to just wait till before Shkia.
so you can, but you meant to do it before time because they think that it's mamash. This is when it happened. It's like
If it happened then you could just you'll find out later when you do the detail. Or you need to know.
for sure. But you want to know, you need like for whatever reason they need to be together, whatever the circumstances, and like.
In other words, I think what I understand this question is, you're not going to, what the Vedika is going to accomplish, meant to accomplish at that time, you're not going to get if you do it later. Like, it's possible that only that time you would catch, a Vedika would catch something.
I think he's saying l'chera you would catch it either way.
Because that's his question.
B'diavad you can, but why would l'chatchila?
Is there a reason?
They want to make sure, like, did the period come or not? So let's check. Now beforehand, there's not much chash because it doesn't happen before. It happened. We're thinking it's happened at 12 o'clock. So after 12, let's check if it happened.
And then if it didn't do it, anyways, the
Yes. I hear you. Go speak to the Rabbanan. I'm just teaching. It's an interesting shayla. Meaning you're saying on one hand, if I remember, I'll ask.
if they fall out together, then
No,
you could just do one later, like Isfar. Right?
saying l'chatchila.
I do recall something to that effect, that it would only catch it if it was something, it would only catch it then, and Lata would catch it later.
Sounds good. Yeah, very good. Good questions. Okay. Reminder to everyone should come to this year. Okay. So here, in a 29-day month, the Vestos Chodesh will be. In the 29-day month, the Vestos Chodesh will coincide with oinam beinus, like we said. So in this example, you have Tevis, base Tevis, and the being that it's Tevis only has this Tevis only has 29 days, so they'll both come together on the same day. So you have, you see, and like it says, still marked down both, and Vestos Chodesh, because it's the day of the month, so it's base Tevis, now it's base Shvat. And being that it was in the day of base Tevis, so it'll be on the day base Shvat. Everyone has got that? I hope the slides are helping. I think it makes it easier than just imagine without your slides. Okay, so another example. What happens in Tevis, Shvat and Adar? See, if the flow began on the 30th of Shvat, and next month doesn't have 30 days, we talked about this. So no need to keep the Vestos HaChodesh that month, and not even the subsequent months that has 30 days. Yeah, so in this case, Lamed Shvat is Vestos HaChodesh. You get the period Lamed Shvat by day. So you look on your calendar to find Lamed Adar to mark it down. There's no Lamed Adar. So what do? Nothing. One day off. Yeah, because as far as that, it's the day itself. So there's no day, which it is talking a little bit interesting. But that's, yeah. So far, we've talked about two. Oinam beinus, Vestos Chodesh. Again, oinam beinus is 30 days, 4 weeks and 1 day. It's the full 24 hours. And she does the bedika before Shkia. The Vestos Chodesh is the day of the month. So let's say it was 29th, so it'll be the 29th. And it's when the period, that oino of the period, whether it's a night or day, and the bedika is done just after she saw it. That's why you write down, on the calendar you have to write down the time. Another good thing, actually, you can also say practically, if it's like in the middle of the day, you're busy or something, you're not going to always have the time to do it. she can text you, or even if you're in the room and you're not going to write it down right now, text to each other. So you have that marked down somewhere, so you don't forget. Because we're busy, we have kids, and it's the morning at 8:35, and then 2 days later you forget, and like, oh, what was it? So generally, it's not going to be like a difference between night and day. So you'll know what happened in the morning. After you left off, you'll know exactly the time, but you'll know around. If it's a shayla of like time, then you have to, it's a problem. You have to ask her what to do. Because, if it's a night or day, it matters which one you keep. And b'chlal, you don't have to be extra machmir yourself for no reason. And even more, the rabbanim, they're there to help. That's what their job is. They're not trying to make your life miserable. They're trying to help you. When you try to learn Gemara, what you learn is the more you understand the foundation of what you started, the more you can add into the information. But if you didn't fully get it in the beginning, the more you go, the worse it gets. So hopefully we got everything pretty good. So then we just add to it, because it gets a little more complicated. So basically, the Vestos Haflaga is the distance between the halachic Tahara and the next period. And it's every oin is counted as one. So maybe the next period will arrive at the same interval as there was between the past two periods. So we'll give some examples. So how do you calculate? You count the distance between the last two periods. So if Vestos Haflaga, you need 2 periods to count. So when I was thinking about this, and I was preparing for the class, when you teach a Chosson, so Iyar is the first period that happens when they get married, and then the second one did. Some Rabbanim say you should already start calculating before, but it very much starts like now. But for us, what's the issue? When would this be? You have to wait till the second period. So the simple answer is after childbirth. Everything starts back again. It's like sort of resets itself after 24 months. And so then let's say she has, or at some point after the baby's born, she has a period. So that next month, you won't have Vestos Haflaga. Because the Haflaga is going to go from before she was pregnant. So there's nothing, you just wait till the next one to have. And so you only have one thing to keep. Anyway, I hope I didn't lose everyone. So we're going to show how to calculate it. So count distance between the last 2 periods from the halachic Tahara. So it always starts by night. Count the same distance of halachic Tahara after most recent period, and mark oino. Count the same distance from halachic Tahara. Meaning, and then in the next period, when she has halachic Tahara, only once she gets to halachic Tahara, you can add this number. Because this number is from the end of the halachic Tahara until the next period. So in the beginning, she has a period, easy, I'll mark down 2 of them. But then there's the third one that you got to be on top of. And here's the example. So let's say the flow began on the 50th oino from the halachic Tahara. Okay, so what happens? So again, we have to have 2 periods. So she has the first one on Cheshvan, Aleph Cheshvan, and the second one comes on Hey Cheshvan. So she starts counting. Well, you can do whatever. You start counting. Well, really, so she gets to have a Tahara. There's nothing to do. Next, once she gets a period, then you can calculate. So you count. Every oin is 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's pretty simple in the sense that the day is always 2. It all starts by night. So it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 here. And then you get to when. So, and remember, it's always like you have to remember this. It goes from after the halachic Tahara to the period. But you're counting, but we're saying, in this case, we're saying it could be that every 50 oinas, she could get a period. So you have to make sure you calculate it correctly. From the end of the halachic Tahara, so it starts that night, and the day that she actually got a period is the one that's counted. The oina, not the day, the oina. Because if it was on the night, it would be 49. Also, of course, double check your count. This is one is very easy to make mistakes. So you just double check. Of course, the count is out for you, but it's good. And also another easy way to see is 2, 4, 6. You can count it. I had a guy, I taught him, and he was like a math teacher. He was a TE professor. So I showed him once, and he goes, in this calendar, it's like 60 oinus or something. And I was like, what? So I don't remember now offhand, but look here, it's 50, 52, 54, 56, 58, 60, yeah. Doing maths, and it's a mitzvah. But okay, again, would you do it one more time, make sure I have it clear? So the way the Vestos haflaga happens, how you calculate it, you need to have 2 periods, or really you need to have a hefsek tahara and a period. So in this case, the hefsek tahara is in Hey Cheshvan, and a new period came on the Lamed Cheshvan. So you need to count the oinus, 2 oinus in a day, and how many oinus you get till the next period. Because the chashash is, maybe that amount of oinus, in this case, for the next hefsek tahara that she does, from that point you have to mark 50, you have to count 50 oinus, and put it in the calendar. That's a day of chashash. Now, the Vestos haflaga is you only keep the oina, night or day, and again you do the bedika just after it came. So in this case, she had a period in this one, let's say 12 o'clock by day. So then, so you count 50. So no, really in this case would be by here, Lamed Cheshvan, 12 o'clock. So then, at the end of the Hesek Tahara, you'd count 50 einas, and then put it in the calendar, and that day is just the day or the night. In this case, it's the day, and the bedika is by day.
Why do you count from the Hesek Tahara?
That's what they said. I was saying, because the chashash is that the amount of time between the Hesek Tahara and the period is going to be the same. Yeah, you are counting the clean oinus. But he's saying, meaning you're counting clean oinus. But the svara behind all these 3 essentially is maybe there's a pattern. Like she has a pattern that these could be. Because again, if we wouldn't have this, let's say, and there would be in the middle of Tashmish and she has a period, it's a big issue. So we're trying to take care of us so we wouldn't machshel, chas v'shalom, michshel, and these things. And like the guy that's divorced said, these things are important. Yeah, we're going to get to that. Like I said before, if we get all this good, and then we'll keep on going more, it gets a little more complicated, more interesting. Yeah, so the Vestos haflaga and Vestos hachodesh, they're both done. Yeah. Now, yeah.
So every month you're going to have these 3 things?
Yeah. She has a period. Yeah.
How does the Vestos haflaga, how do you do the same time? It could be the other time of day or night. No? So then it gets shorter or something.
Explain.
You said you do the bedika at the same time?
Just after the time that happened, yeah.
But it goes according to the ayna, right?
Yeah, so in this case, you would put 50 oinas, and the period came on the day, so in the hefsek tahara, she would do a bedika. For argument's sake, let's say maybe there's another. Yeah, exactly. Very good. So flow began on the 50th oina from the hefsek tahara, like from the page before. So now the step 2 is after successful hefsek tahara, over here on Daled Kislev, you count 50 oinas from after the hefsek tahara and mark 50th oina as Vestos haflaga. So again, you start from after. In this case, 1, 2, you keep on going, and you get to 50. So you mark down the 50, and then
50 clean oinus or 49 clean oinus and 50 of one?
it's interesting. It's 50 clean oinus, but the 50th oina is when it happens. So you're counting that in because you're saying this is the day.
49.
So it's 49 plus the day that actually happened. But you're counting the clean oinus till the period.
So when you make the calculation, count 49, number 50 is when
The period happened, yeah.
the best is number 50.
Exactly. So that's why in this case, number 50, you mark it on the calendar, 50, and you have to know the time. Like on the calendar, online it comes up, but on the physical calendar, there's a place to put it, what time, so she knows what time she's meant to be doing it. Yeah. And of course, double check. Yeah. See? If it's a first period, after only one period, there's no flog yet, instead of before, because you need two. It's between, you're working out the oino from the end of, after the halachic Tahara till the next period. So if you don't have that, you only have the first period, you don't have the second one. So, for example, if a wife just gave birth, or just got a period after childbirth, so that's the first one. Okay, now counseling. So let's do a quick summary. So we'll try to hopefully get everything together. So we have the Oina Beinus, which is 30 days. So in the calendar we had before, so let's say, the period was on Lamed, so 30 days, 4 weeks and 1 day, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 day would be on the 29th of Chavtes Kislev. That's the Oina Beinus. Then you have Vestos HaChodesh, which is the day of the month. So, in this case it works. You have Lamed Cheshvan. So then, you'll have Lamed Kislev. And it happened, the period was in the day. So you have that day. And also you see this little circle in the calendar that have, if you see the diamond is in the middle and it covers both sides, it's another hint that it's what you keep is the whole time. Whereas with the circle, you only keep what's on top. Meaning, you keep that oino, the day oino. So again, we have the oino beinus, which is 30 days. In this case, would be 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 1. That's 30, and the whole day. The Vestos HaChodesh is the day of the month. In this case, is 30th of Cheshvan. So you looked at 30th of Cheshvan, and then the Vestos HaFlogo after the halachic Tahara. Well, I guess you could, if we're going back now, so you look at the last halachic Tahara, and you'd count how many oinas were there, starting from after the halachic Tahara until the next period. And those oinas are, let's say in this case, 50. So then you wait till she does the halachic Tahara, and it's clean, it's all good. Then you start counting 50, and you put it in your calendar. So in this case, the 50th oina is during the oina beinus. So that's why you see this square box 50 in the same yellow as the whole thing. Because that's the oina, so the oina beinus is together with the Vestos HaFlogo, and a day later during the day is the Vestos HaChodesh. Chodesh month, way to remember, Chodesh month, beinus is average, it's 30, and Haflaga is the Haflagas, the oinas. Okay, now, counseling. One of the things also, like it is very technical and mathematical. So if you don't get it all, don't have to, it's fine. You keep on trying. Another thing someone told me, he said to me, he's past the child rearing stage of life. And he goes, but something that and he's shliach, and he seems, he's pretty chassidish, and he goes, I don't know if people use the calendar online or not. He goes, I use that as a backup. And he goes, it's very good. You have to pay attention to having Vestos Kavua, which means there's a pattern, there's a clear pattern. If you have a clear pattern, let's say every Thursday, whatever the pattern is, every Lamed, she gets a period. So once you have Vestos Kavua, you don't have to keep all these other ones because you have nothing to worry about. We know that it's coming on Lamed. So all the other ones sort of go away, and you have to just be careful. And also matters what the oina. If, let's say, it's every day, Monday, Lamed by day, she has a period Lamed by day at 7:30 in the morning, so then that's becoming Vestos Kavua, and then you don't have to worry about all these other ones, all these calculations. Okay, so canceling a cycle. So the oina beinus. The oina beinus is only kept on 30th day from the most recent flow, and it isn't carried over to the next month. So it doesn't. So now we're going to discuss about carrying over. And how do we stop the carrying over? But so we start already. The Oina Beinus is nothing to carry over. Meaning, in the case, we'll see it in the next slide. So even if she saw blood before the date of Oina Beinus, she should erase the marked Oina Beinus and calculate a new one for the most recent flow. There's always only one Oina Beinus in the calendar. So here, so she got a period on Aleph Shvat. So Oina Beinus is 4 weeks in one day. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, one day. It's 30 days later. Meant to be Lamed Shvat. They put it in the calendar. What happens? 2 weeks later, she gets a period. So that Oina Beinus gets erased, and now the Oina Beinus is 30 days from Yud Zayin Shvat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, and you put it in. And there's always only one Oina Beinus. There's no two. That's what we're showing here. Now, let's say this is an example on, why is this Tishrei? If the flow began earlier and continued through the Oina, there's a difference of opinion amongst Chabad Rabbanim, Consult your Rav. Okay. Meaning, like this. So let's say, I don't see the calendar so clear here, but let's say she gets a period over here on base 7. So 4 weeks later is 1, 2, 3, 4. Should be Aleph Tammuz. Now, what happens if she gets a period just before and she's still bleeding? See, she's bleeding has like a few days. So there's a shaila, there's a discussion about in Chabad, there's a different opinion. Do they consider the chashash is that the day is what causes the period, meaning 30 days from base 7 causes a period. So here she got a period on Chav Tes. So it's not base 7. I mean, it's not 30 days, not Aleph Tammuz. So therefore that doesn't. We don't continue using it. Another way of looking at it is she's still in a period, so it's not mamish like cancelled. It's not strong enough to say it doesn't happen. So therefore, they can say you could carry it over, and you have to whoever your Rav that you speak to. And if you don't speak to a Rav, it's a good idea to speak to him. Nowadays, most Rabbanim are very kind and friendly, and they're not rough with you, and really they want to do the best. I think when I got married, there was less, but now I see, like I speak to Rabbanim all the time, and they're like it's super nice, So you speak to which Rabbanim, different Rabbanim Karanites also hold differently. But if you would hold, yeah, I skipped. Okay, very good. Yeah, okay. So this, one second. So this is where we're holding. This is not. That was. This was Oina Beinus. This is Vestos Chodesh. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Very good. Shkayach. So in Vestos Chodesh, there's difference of opinion on do we continue counting it. In this case, it's the 2nd of Sivan, so the 2nd of Tammuz. Now, her period already came. One opinion holds, like I said before, that being that she's still bleeding, so it doesn't cancel it out. And therefore you might have to put it down in the calendar for the future, and have two. The other opinion holds, it's only on the day it falls out. And therefore, in this case, it fell out on Chav Tes. So that's it. It's kind of like nothing to do. And you have to speak different Rabbanim. In Eretz Yisrael, they're more of the shit that doesn't carry over. Like it doesn't matter when, as long as the period didn't fall out on that day, nothing happens. Whereas in America and other places, they're a little more to the leaning side that you do carry it. You have to speak to your Rav.
So then they do carry. So the next month you have two.
You could have two. Yeah.
That's the.
Yeah.
These are 4 questions.
Yeah, and there's a few others now. I'm saying they like join along. Yeah, exactly. So how do we cancel a Vestos haflaga? Haflaga, remember, the haflaga is the distance between after the hefsek Tahara and till the next period, how many einos there are. So that's the one that everyone does, it's the calculations and all the things in the come. This is how it goes. Vestos haflaga number keeps being counted from the most recent hefsek Tahara until the specific haflaga number gets cancelled. A larger haflaga number cancels any previous haflaga numbers that were smaller. Meaning, in the case before, we had the haflaga of 50. So if the next month after that haflaga is 60, let's say, for argument's sake, then if the flow began 1 month on 50 einos, and then the next month 52, so then you only count the 52 from the hefsek Tahara. Meaning the month after that, you only count 52. The 50 gets cancelled. Let's say if the flow began 1 month on the 50th and the next month on the 48th, so it's lower. So then you count both 48 and 50, because what we're essentially saying is we're not sure that maybe the 50th haflaga, the 50th oino, it does come. We don't know. We didn't prove that it doesn't come. We just proved that it came earlier. Maybe if it didn't come earlier, it would come then as well. So we keep on keeping these numbers. So the only way we can cancel the number is if we pass it. And when we pass it, we say, hey, she didn't see a period, so it's not this number. Because look, I proved that it doesn't. So you could technically build up a few numbers. So here's an example. So let's say you have, in Nisan, it was on the 50th oino, so you put 50. In Iyar, it came on the 48th, so it didn't cancel the 50, so now you have two numbers, 48th oino and 50th oino. So in your calendar, you'd have to put that in. Let's say in Sivan goes 46, so then you'd have 46, 48, and 50. And let's say then in Tammuz comes, and it comes out on the 49th period. So therefore, you'd cancel the 46 and 48, because 49 passed them. So we're saying it's not those. And then you don't have 49 and 50. And let's say in Av, the 50, the line is on 52, so then you cancel all of them, and you go down to 1. So you go 1, 2, 3, and then you go 2 and 1. That's a nice example. But also what's interesting is you'd also find, if you're the first 3, you'd call a Rav, because you might have a kavua, Vestos haflaga kavua, because it's going 3 periods in a row in the same order. See, all the haflaga numbers are counted only from the most recent hefsek Tahara, of course.
You say in Tammuz there should be maybe 44 inside Vestos kavua.
Yeah, and then if it was a Vestos kavua, then you don't have to keep 44, and you wouldn't have to keep the others. But in this case, it came out on the 49. So even if, let's say, the Vestos kavua, you'd have to speak to Rav because it's a little bit more complicated. But that's essentially what happens. Yeah, we'll do it one more time just because it's a little complicated. Maths. So let's say Nisan, from the hefsek Tahara to the next period, there's 50 einos. So in Iyar, you'd have to put on the calendar 50. And let's say an Iyar comes, and then on the 48th oino, she gets a period. So now you don't prove that the 50th oino, in Sivan, you need to have both of those oinos put in, the 50th and 48th. And let's say in Sivan, she gets her period on the 46th oino. So again, the 46th didn't prove that it doesn't come out on 48. It doesn't prove it doesn't come out on the 50th. So you keep them all 3 in. So on the calendar, you'd have these 3 dates. And Tammuz comes, and let's say the period comes on the 49th. So she would have had to keep those 3 oinos. But once the 49th oina comes and she gets a period, so that shows that those 2 are cancelled. But the 50th from the beginning never got cancelled because we didn't get there yet. So it could be the 50th still. We never proved that the 50th is not going to happen. But in Av, in this calendar is very, very nice to us. In Av, it fell on the 52nd. So that counted all of them. So now you don't have to keep that next month is only the 52nd. Okay, an example. So here, the Vestos haflaga was marked on the 46th oino, but the flow began already on the 44th oino. So we didn't cancel the 46. Both numbers are counted from the newest Hefsek Tahara. She marks 44 and 46. And now you see the Hefsek Tahara on the 5th of what are we? Erev Shavuos, and what says Kislev, whatever. 5th of Sivan. So then she counts. She has to mark down the 44 and 46. Now in this example, but on the counter, you have the Tahara, she marked 44, 46. Here we have 44, 46, but you don't see any period yet. So whenever the period comes, let's say it came Aleph after Sivan, what is it? Tammuz? So Aleph Tammuz, so then they would both be cancelled. You got, yeah? Yeah, the 40, what was it? 44, 46 in this example. Okay, you have two. She marks it in calendar from the Hefsek Tahara. You see 1, 2, 3, 4. You keep on going till 44. She puts it in, and 46. But in room, but respectful mensch. Yeah, and when do the bdika? So like we said before, the Vestos the bdika is basically the same time, meaning preferably soon after the time of day that the flow upon which the current Vestos is based began. It can be done later, but before the end of the Eino. So it's interesting. I didn't pay attention to this before, but if you think about it, meaning if you have 5 Einos for the Vestos Aflago, you have to look at those times. And let's say, for argument's sake, she got a period one of the one that was 46 at 8:30, and the one 48 at 10:30 and 12:30, and so every hour she for each one. It can be done later on, but before the end of the Eino. The Eino Beinus is at the end of the day, shortly before Shkir. And again, the Eino Beinus, if you didn't do it, it's a problem. You have to do it. If you didn't, whatever I didn't, you have to. You have to do it later, whenever it is.
You're never going to have to do more than 2 bdikas in one day. I mean, just
Yeah, very good.
I mean, if it's the Beinus of the Bashkira, and then you do for the most recent.
Very good.
That would be the same one.
Why? The Fridays were one time allowed. That's not what you said before.
He was right. I made a mistake. Meaning what he was saying is, I was thinking you have different times when the period was. But the point is, they're not on the same day. So they can't be, because then they would cancel each other out. Or it wouldn't be canceled, it would just be one. Meaning, if she has different einas, 46, 48, 50, that's different days. They're not the same day. The times could be different. So it could be on the 46, she does it at 8:30, and 48, she does it at 12:30, and 50, she does it at 3:30. But they're all different days on the same day. I was confusing a little bit. So what happens if she forgot to do the bdika? So Ves Achedish and Aflaga, she's permitted once the earn is over, like we said before. But if it's a Beinus or Vestos Kavur, she must remain separated until the bdika is done. Yeah, like we said before, you have to do the bdika for the earn Beinus. Okay, let me see here. I don't want to go too long. It's already after 9. So let's say you're going on a trip, leaving on a trip close to the Eino of separation. Husband should avoid leaving on a trip the day following an Eino of separation due to his obligation to be intimate with his wife before he travels. There's a mitzvah to be intimate with your wife before you go. Of course, if she wants to. And so therefore, if he's going to leave, and like if he's leaving just after the Eino, or like in the Eino, let's say the Eino is the night before and he's traveling that next day, it's not a good, like he's not going to be able to fulfill this mitzvah. And if she wants to be together with him, so he's not going to be able to do that. So he should try to avoid it. If he needs to travel and will miss instances with obligation to write tashmish, halachically is permitted. If she does tashmish av b'dika, preferably he should appease his wife. I don't know how to understand this exactly, but appease his wife and to absolve him of obligation, and instead show external gestures of love. And consult with the Rav what to do. That's really the answer. Or if hopefully your relationship is pretty good, and you'll understand, and you'll figure it out. But if not, I think it's more of a Shalom Bayis question than a halacha question. Hopefully, the husband and wife are in a good enough relationship, they can understand the situation and they can figure out. I remember before I got married, a friend of mine, he was married a few years, and he goes, "Do you want me to tell you what I wish people had told me?" Yeah, for sure. What do you have to say? So one of the things he said to me, which it's funny, like when you're a bacher, you don't understand this, and when you're married, like it makes a lot of sense. And he goes, "I was married, and like my wife and I, we fought and we didn't get along. It was really like not good. But somehow we're like fighting all these problems." So they went to a mashpia, and they said, like, what are we doing wrong? Like, we have a problem? So he laughed and he said, "No, nothing problem." He goes, "You're a man, you're a woman. You live in different worlds, you don't understand." So one of the examples he gave, he goes, "You want to go to Farringen. So you go to the Farringen, you say, 'Honey, I'm going,' and you walk off." And she's like, "Where's this guy going?" He goes, "Tell your wife, hey, there's a Farringen tonight. I want to go to the Farringen, but I want to spend quality time with you before I go." We don't know what quality time means. I want to spend quality time with you before you go. Like, understanding where the people are. I think it's not a Shalom Bayis class, but I think it's such a very important point. I notice this a lot. So my wife and I have a Moshe at Living Chassidus. So we have events twice a week, average. My wife goes. And one thing I realized is very interesting, that when she's leaving, so that evening time, it's bedtime, or when I'm doing, I also have events when I'm going. In my world, I'm going. I'm not thinking about home, the kids, dinner, homework, bar time. I'm just thinking I need to go. My whole head is need to go. And when I'm at home and she has to go, what am I thinking about? The home. Get the kids to bed, finish the homework, finish off my shiur, whatever it is. And I realize, I'm not being sensitive to her. She has a whole program, whatever it is, and I'm not thinking about it all. Just a sensitivity. Hey, this is what's going on in my head, what's going on in her head. And if you know that, what's going on, maybe I can help you, and coming together. So too in this situation, so too with the Farbringen. It's not saying, "Oh, I need to go for Farbringen, so I need to speak to my wife first." It's being sensitive to what does it mean that I go to Farbringen to her. When you're a bacher, you live in your own, whatever you do is what you do. But now what you do affects someone else. So too in this case, if he has to go on a trip, it's not like, "I'll go to a trip. Can I go on a trip?" There's hopefully some Shalom Bayis discussion. And if you're discussing it, and it's good, but it's like you didn't come to a conclusion, you speak to her. You say, "What should we do?" Okay, we'll do this, and we'll stop here. Pregnancy and nursing. From what point is a woman halachically considered pregnant? Starting from 90 days after the mikvah night. So the woman to the mikvah, Pshat Teva, she gets pregnant. So 90 days after that, she becomes at halachically considered pregnant. Basically, what we're going to discuss is having this status means there's no such thing as Vestos kavua. It sounds good, but practically nothing much changes. If anything, it's not as good, because when you have Vestos kavua, you don't have to keep all the other dates. You just have the kavua, whenever it is, and that's all you're worried about. Whereas once she becomes pregnant, you can't set a Vestos kavua. And therefore, all the dates have to apply. I know in my head, I kind of have a few kids, and you think, I don't have Vestos kavua. And it's like, it doesn't mean anything. It just means I have to put on more numbers in the calendar.
Why 90 days?
What?
Why 90 days?
I think maybe back in the day, they didn't know. So they would, that's when I think you start to show, whatever, they know for sure. Don't do tests. Nowadays, it's whatever, 3 days, you know. So when is a woman likely considered nursing? So nursing is also interesting. Nursing, she's considered to be muslekas damim, meaning no period meant to be coming, for 24 months post-birth. Even if she's not actually nursing, which means for 24 months, 2 years after she gave birth, she can't set up a Vestos kavua. If it was underwent a C-section, you have to consult the Rav with the status. What that mean? How does that affect it? But it doesn't. But it means for the 2 years after she gave birth, 90 days after she's the mikvah night, and she's pregnant, till 2 years after birth, you can't send the Vestos kavua. If that's a shalom, No one should know such things. She gets miscarriage. After 40 days of pregnancy, she's still considered mislekas damim for the next 24 months. So what's the two practical applications? She doesn't establish a Vestos kavua, even if she gets 3 consecutive periods that follow in a certain pattern. So there's no more the pattern doesn't matter. He doesn't keep days from before the status. But what happened before she became pregnant, those don't carry on. Example, if she saw blood during the 3rd month of pregnancy, she needn't keep the dates of anticipation on the 4th month. Meaning, once she's considered pregnant, she doesn't need to put her number to get a period, so she doesn't have to worry about it. So even though, meaning she was technically pregnant, and technically she did see some blood, but in the 4th month, she doesn't have to do any of these Vestos, because she doesn't have someone to be coming anymore, so it's good. What? Yeah, but I'm saying, but the Vestos you have to worry about, that's what I'm saying. Let's see here. Yeah. Vestos kavua. Let's finish off with Vestos kavua. Basically, a Vestos kavua, and this is sort of what my friend was telling me, because he's after having kids, which I get. It's funny because some people told me, I'm not in this parish anymore. So I was a little bit naive, and I thought that meant that I shouldn't have any kids anymore. I wasn't thinking about it so much. And then one guy told me, he goes, I'm past the stage of kids. But you should know that Vestos kavua can happen a lot, and you have to pay attention. He goes, because when you do it on the calendar yourself, you're not always paying attention. So he goes, use the backup of the calendar online to check for you. And you speak to a Rav if you have a Vestos kavua. So then I realized when he told me that the first guy that was saying, I'm not in the parasha, he means he's totally not in the parasha. I was like, oh, I didn't realize what you meant, not in the parasha. So what's essentially Vestos kavua? It's a uniformity, progression, or pattern in the periods that can potentially establish a Vestos kavua. Sometimes it takes 4 periods to establish a definite Vestos kavua. So nowadays they say, although it isn't common for women to have a fixed cycle, one should pay attention to notice if any patterns occur temporarily, and if they do, consult the Rav how to proceed. So how do you establish it? After a few periods have passed, you can look at a chart and check to see if any of the columns look like a pattern. Have like a number on the date of the month, the day of the week. See some pattern. You can look, you can notice something. And yeah, and that's essentially, don't worry about this one. And that's what it is. You just have to see a pattern going, whether it's a day of the week, whether it's a month, could be every Friday, every Thursday. It could be also, like we saw before in the calendar, it could be every 2 einas, every 3 einas. It could be even a pattern down, up, down, up. You're looking for a pattern. When you see the pattern, say, hey, this looks like a pattern to me, call the Rav. And again, it's very kadai to have a Rav that you can speak to. Rabbanim are very nice, and they want to help you, they want to make it all good. And you'll speak to him, and he'll tell you what to do. And that is the end of Vestos. Thank you very much for all coming.
Shkoyach Rabbi Sharon. I'm just going to add a few small details that I think are important. Many of us could have like a thought. In many cases, the wife is the one that keeps track, not because she's more melumedes, if she's more mathematical than for sure, but also Pashat, she'll remember when the vest came. Her body changed. It's a whole ma'areches that's changing. It's not just the din in when she saw dam, also ksamim, etc. But so what is the place of the husband? So I think it's important to point out that take any scenario of dikkus, right? As Rabbi Sharon mentioned, vesaflaga, vesachoidish, it should be right after the time, ideally. And then she could be, when she does the bdika, and then she could be mashlam until shkia. In a bainis, it has to be at the end. So take a woman that's now outside with her kids, and she walked outside to the park. Now for her to look for a bathroom and to do a bdika, it's a real sugya. And, or in Shivanakim, when she gets up after Nates and before Shkia to make sure it's a project. Her day, like Rabbi Sharon brought an example, going, this is another thing that's on her mind. And for a husband to be aware of that and to encourage her, by Vestos Afloga and Vestos Chodesh, if she missed the bdika after Shkia, there is an opinion that she should do a bdika, but Rabbanim recently aren't saying she should do that, as opposed to Oina Beinanis, that then you are in Prisha until she does the bdika even after Shkia. Important to note that. It was pointed out, I'm just pointing it out. And Bechlal, also in Haflaga and in Achodesh, after she did the bdika, after the Zman, you're still in Prisha until Shkia. That whole Oina is blocked off. But for you to be cognizant of the fact that this is on her mind and she's going to have to stop what she's doing, and I'm not going to get into graphic details, but I'm saying what she's wearing, it's a whole project. It's not an easy thing. So being aware of this and being encouraging is a tremendous role of the husband in making sure that Vizartim is b'nei Yishalmu T'moisam and Shifreshum and Shesem be'oina samach levesta. Part of your achrayis is giving her that support she needs. I heard a beautiful analogy that they tell girls today, young women, kalas, that if you missed a bdika from Shiva Nakim, you missed it, right? So a man in his mind, he missed it. Okay, shine, felt. These are very, very important halachas. So they tell the way they say it to a woman, and is that imagine you're in the park and you're far off, but understand this mashal because it just gives us a little bit of insight into a window into what it means for a woman. And she's with her kids, and now she has to run upstairs to do the bdika for before Shkia. Yeah? So they tell her, imagine it was a cake that you left in the oven and it's going to burn. Would you just say, okay, you know what, let it burn? Or you would run upstairs? That's the type of thing. But now, for us to stop and imagine that, envision that in our mind, this is a cake burning in her mind. It's not a small thing. She has to work her whole day around it. Where is she going to be? Is there going to be a place to do a bdika? Does she carry bdikas with her, etc.? The more we are cognizant and even making mention, it's so special that you're able to do this, and encouraging, it goes a tremendous, tremendous way, because really, really, Taharas Hamishpacha is Kol HaYakar VaKadosh Ba'am Yisrael were given in the hands of women. The tar of your family, not only kashrus, also pashat the Taharas Hamishpacha, and this affects doiri doiris. So it's all in their hands, and we have this chus to support them in this tremendous mitzvah. So all the dinei Vestos, the bdikis, Rabbi Sharon pointed out that even though Taka the Isur on Yom Achshash is from Tashon Shamita, but Chibuk V'Nishuk, you have the bracha of the Bach, and the Shach quotes it, that the Bach writes Tavel of bracha of the Bach V'Nishaten, and the Taz Haltas is more than that. It's Medina, but the Maisa we're noig like the Shach, aber the bracha Chibuk V'Nishuk. The Alter Rebbe has a shitta in regards to Yoitza L'derech. The simple reading is that he should be mefaisa b'dvarim, like the Nemuki Shittas and Nemuki Yosef that's brought in Kuf Pedalid. But the Alter Rebbe is mahader. If you look in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, that he should be mefayis, that she should settle for not for tashmish. So in your mind, it's a process. You want her to feel that closeness without having to reach that point. There is the mitzvah. I mean, there's going to be a shir on it, so I shouldn't really be being ma'irach on this. But the mitzvah is not an inyan l'sha'atzma. It's an expression of closeness. And when we say that you're supposed to be together before forgot the navecha b'leisechta, that before a person is yoytzel derech, he should be together. And when that falls out on oinas achshash, not to be together, what that means for you is she has to feel that, experience that closeness, without darfen unkommen to them. And the Alter Rebbe is mamish clear. The Alter Rebbe spells it out. He should be mefaisa. She should feel that it's, so to speak, she doesn't need. That she should be moichel on the mitzvah itself. So this puts on us chassidim that sensitivity, understanding Taka what it means for her to feel that intimacy without the mitzvah itself, without that closeness. Anyways, Yishikoyach for making it out here. Yeah. Yes, so I'll actually give an overview. I put papers on each cheer so you know what's coming in the coming weeks. We have another 4 shiurim to go, and each one is invaluable, is an oitzer b'fnei atzmai. Next week we have coming up Rabbi Levi Belanov, a famous Madrich Chassanim, and the Mechanech, that is going to describe the time, b'mei libuna, how to be all the harchakis, which is actually brings towards afterwards. Important to be here. Yishikoyach for making it. Afterwards, we're going to have on Shalom Bayis and on Hashkafa and building a Yiddish home. Feel free to take with you a paper and Nishver Gessen Abracha Achreina.